Hey guys, Mishka here with the Monday Nights. Just want to give you guys a quick rundown for the newer mages or those who are new to the game in general and looking to explore the Runemage class. I'm going to basically break down the spells that you're going to be using, some tips and tricks I learned along the way, and let's just jump right into it. Just a fair warning, I'm not one of the best mages in the game. I'm just a guy who likes to help. So first off, we're going to start with the Frost spells. Frost 1 is a capital M that's just really wide. It does minimal damage. It goes fast and it goes far. I can get all the way to the end of the room here, and I'm still going to be able to reach the target, whereas Frost 2, it goes a little bit slower, should still reach, but as you can see, there is a speed difference there. Right, so that's Frost 1. Honestly, I don't ever use that spell. It takes too long to cast for the little amount of damage it does. Frost 2, you're going to draw a capital F with a slight downward angle. Right? That's all. Now, it does take 3 strokes to cast this, and as a rule of thumb with spell casting, you want to make it take as few amount of strokes as possible. So 1, 2, 3, not great. There is a shortcut that you can cast. It's basically a capital letter P. Right? And it still counts. So it only takes, 1 stroke. I'm not having to do these 1, 2, 3 angles. Right? So here, I'm genuinely casting that as fast as I can, or I can spam it with the P. The P, it doesn't even have to connect. It can be more like a candy cane or an R. This spell is really forgiving once you get the hang of it, so that's great. Frost 3, just a heads up, I'm still learning the spell, so it might not go off the first few times. Yeah, like I said. There we go. So Frost 3, it's a lot slower moving. It doesn't have as great of a range. It will deal more damage, but not nearly enough to justify, not spamming Frost 2. Unless you're a really good mage, like Elk, Jay, Cam, they can probably spam Frost 3 faster than I can spam Frost 2. That's awesome. Until you get to that point, though, Frost 2 is going to be your go-to Frost spell. Frost 3 you mainly only use to slow down bad guys. It will slow enemies down a significant amount, which is great for boss fights if you got a boss that you're trying to stop moving. The last Frost spell is Ice Lance, and it's not really a Frost spell, it's its own entity. I'm going to wait for the debuff to go away, and you'll see why in a second here. There we go. Alright, so without any debuffs on the enemy, this does very little damage, so 8k, right? And I know for newer mages that might seem like a lot, but I've got a very nice wand that should be dealing way more damage than that, right? So, we put a Frost debuff on it, and then we cast Frost Lance. 21k plus the 8k, that's what, 29,000. If you add the other, hundreds in there, you could be looking at possibly 30,000 damage. That's nice. I don't really use it that often, though, because it's got a relatively short range on it. As you can see, I don't cast it that often. Here we go. Yeah, see, I can't hit it from back here. And as a room mage, you kind of want to stay far back because you've got very squishy. You don't have much armor. So those are the Frost spells. Let's move on to Fire now. The first spell is Fire 1. It's basically a lowercase h with angles. And this is another one of those really fast-moving spells. Generally, the lower level of the spell, the faster it goes and the further it goes. So a level 1 spell will travel much faster and farther than a level 2 spell, which, goes much slower. So if I cast 2 and then 1, yeah, 1 will go a lot faster. So that's, yeah, level 1 Fireball. Does, more damage than level 1 Frost. The same as level 2 Frost, it looks like. So that's nice. Again, though, I don't really ever use Fire 1 because Fire 2 is easier and quicker, just like Frost 2 is easier and quicker than Frost 1. So Fire 2 is going to be a capital letter B with angles. Right? This is your main damaging spell for the Fire line. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 different angles, right? 5 different strokes. You don't have to pick up the wand, but it's still... it takes time. You can just draw a capital B with curves in it, and it works. right? It's much faster than trying to angle, right? So here, as opposed to that. Fire 3! Again, not very useful, but it does have 3D elements. So here we go, Fire 2, you're going to draw a circle over here, a circle over here, and connect the circles behind the beam. Oh, that's embarrassing. There we go, Fire 3. It's huge! It deals, what, 28k, but in that time I can launch, you know, 2 Fireball 2s will deal more damage than a Fireball 3, and it's just not worth casting Fire 3. It really isn't. There are some people who can do a shortcut and cast it in one stroke. I don't know how they do that, but yeah, anytime you introduce a 3D element, that spell gets much more difficult. Now, regarding the distance and the speeds with level 3s versus level 1 spells, right? I cast Fire 3 here. Oh. If I cast Fire 3 here. Alright, here we go. I'm at the back of the room. Let's see if it reaches. Barely, right? But you see how long that took as opposed to 1 and 2? Right, so there is a significant difference as far as speed goes, and I'm going to tell you right now, that's about the max range for a level 3 spell. So those are the fire spells. We're going to move on to our damage over time, the Affliction Spells. So Affliction 1 looks more or less like that. You hit them, and it'll deal a tick of damage every single second. Now the cool thing about Affliction is that you can stack 1, 2, and 3, and you can see there's 1, 2, 3 of those afflictions all at once. So it's dealing 2k 3 times every second for a total of 6,000 a second. That's pretty nice. Honestly, though, I prefer to cast Affliction 2, which does more damage, of course. So Affliction 2, it's just like Affliction 1. You're going to draw the same thing. And now you're going to connect this part here. Angle, 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 and draw a circle. And that's Affliction 2, and it'll deal twice as much damage. Right? And this one you can also stack 3 times. Now, if you try to put an Affliction 1 on there, it'll also stack, but it's the same stack. So if you have like 3 Affliction 2s on it, and then you hit with an Affliction 1, it's going to override the Affliction 2s, so don't do that. There is a shortcut for Affliction 2 that I cast. It's a figure 8, and then I loop back around. So that way it's all in one stroke, and it's nice and fast. It's one of those that I can spam. And yeah, it'll just start, I mean, it'll melt through low-level mobs, and whenever you're fighting a boss, you always want 3 stacks of those on there, because it'll just, it's nice, you know? You don't have to, once you put them on there, it's damage that happens by itself. So those are the Affliction spells. Let's go to the Arcane spells. We have Arcane Ray. That's really not that useful. It will affect more than one target, so if I line up these 2 like that, right, it'll hit both of them. But you see that, you know, this is a very low level compared to me, and I still couldn't kill it with one of those casts, whereas with a Fireball 2, it's gone, right? So Arcane Ray, I really don't find it very useful. The next level up from Arcane Ray is Arcane Explosion. This is your big AoE. It's just like Arcane Ray. You're going to take from here and connect like a triangle. I promise. There we go. Alright. And basically it'll launch a little bomb. So I'm going to put it right in the middle of the 2 of them, and it hits both. So again, connect. Hits both. I don't normally cast it like that, though, because that's, again, 1, 2, 3 strokes. Right? I have a shortcut for that. You come up and around, make a triangle. So here. It's just, I find it faster and usually more consistent. So yeah, that's that. Let me see here. I'm going to go through my notebook so I can see the spells I haven't cast yet. All right, Mana Shield. Basically, it shields you, right? So the way it says to cast is a line with a diamond on it. So here, diamond. That works, right? As you can see, I've got a little buff now. It's a shield. It reduces damage by a significant amount. It's definitely a spell that I don't see utilized enough, especially when soloing. It's great if anything gets up close, which it shouldn't, but if it does get up close, hit that on yourself and you'll be fine. There are easier ways to cast it. A line with a circle. That works. Or a scribble. Yeah, see, that was a perfect cast right there. I don't know why, but yeah, that works. Fireworks. Fireworks is not useful in combat whatsoever, but it's fun to cast. So it shows that it's got this huge angle in it, right? I don't like that. That's never worked for me. I draw it with a flat top. You'll also notice that I draw fireworks rather small. The rule of thumb is the smaller you draw the rune, the less of a chance the game will detect any errors. So if I draw that kind of big, I don't know if this actually works. Right? It's not working, I'll draw it rather small. You know, I'm drawing the same thing here. Yeah, I'm drawing the same thing, but it works when it's smaller. That's just how the game detects errors. We went through those. Okay, pushback. Pushback is your interrupt. And you're going to draw it basically exactly as the rune shows. A letter 3. A number 3 with a sharp top and a curved bottom. So sharp top, curved bottom. You want to get really good at this spell, much better than I am. This is how you interrupt foes. So whenever you're in a boss fight or, you know, really any fight, and you see the word interrupt pop up, cast pushback. This is going to be your lifesaver. And if anything gets too close, you can hit them, and of course it pushes them back. It'll shove the enemy back. This does have diminishing returns, however. The first time you shove them, they'll go pretty far back. Second time, a moderate distance. And then third time, and after that, they don't move. So use it sparingly against the same enemy. Right, there's that. There is a pushback too. You draw that, and then you draw like a 3D ring around it. I've never been able to cast that. If you want to cast it, go talk to Akavi. Akavi has a one-stroke method like that of casting it. I've just never been able to do that. I don't know how they do it. It's awesome though. It's really cool to watch. Decurse. Decurse is what you cast whenever you're poisoned or something. So I'm going to go ahead and put a debuff on the enemy, right? And you see that frost debuff. I can hit it with Decurse. Debuff is gone. I haven't seen many people using it now that Reborn is out, but in pre-Reborn there were boss fights where people would get poisoned on them and whatnot. Hit them with a Decurse, it removes it. You know, you have enemies out and about that cast Shadow Mark, which is basically an affliction on the player. Right? Just decurse it. Boom. Gone. Nice and easy. Trying to think if there's anything else I have missed. Okay, so that's that. Let's talk about rituals. There are 2 rituals that you need to know. At first, there's the teleporting ritual, which I want to say looks something like that. I don't cast it correctly. The shortcut I use is I draw a loop-de-loop. That starts the ritual. And then you draw another rune. So in this case, let's say capital F, and then chicken foot. Okay? Those are the runes for high step. It'll give you the portal, you grab the orb, you put it up to your head, and it'll teleport you. I don't want to do that because I'm happy in my house right now. If you want to learn where all the runes will take you, like what runes to cast to go to Lamavora or the Wastelands, head on over to the Monday Nights Discord, and we have a channel called The Great Library. There's a huge map. It'll tell you all the different runes and where to catch all the fish, pretty much everything you need to know about everything. So that's the teleportation. There's also resurrect. You can resurrect allies outside of combat. So you're going to draw a horizontal line, decurse, this weird symbol here, affliction, and then 2 circles. And that'll resurrect nearby allies. It will not work in combat. So, oh, there's one more spell I forgot. I'm sorry. Polymorph. Polymorph Two walls, X in the middle. Nope. 2 walls, draw the X. Swear. There we go. Cast this on an enemy, it'll turn to chicken. It's not going to work here because it's a target dummy, but yeah. Polymorph, you can only polymorph one enemy at a time, and whenever you damage, once it turns into a chicken, if you damage it again, it'll come out of polymorph with full health. So don't polymorph something that's almost dead, because then that'll heal it to full. You cannot polymorph bosses or elite enemies. And same thing as pushback, diminishing returns. First time you polymorph it, it'll stay as a chicken for quite a while. Second time, not so much. Third time, don't even bother. There is a shortcut for polymorph that I use. It's a bow tie. Or a sideways hourglass, depending. Oh, that's not going to work. Depending on how you want to put it. So yeah, there's that. And last but not least, these bars here. The bar up top, you're going to get that when you're level 30. It is for your level 30 talent. So over here, we have Triplicity or Contamination. I recommend Triplicity by far, and here's why. You're going to cast the Ritual, which is Decurse followed by, it's the first thing for Resurrect followed by Polymorph. So here, followed by Polymorph, and I'm going to start casting really fast so that you can see what happens. Alright, Triplicity is active. Every time I cast a spell, I get 3 instances of it. That's why I prefer Polymorph. You'll deal so much damage with that. I've had several instances where I'm in a shard dungeon, and I throw a Triplicity, and I start spamming fire and frost, and I pull the aggro away from the tank, and I die. It's not a good thing, but, you know, you deal a lot of damage. You deal a ton of damage with that. So that's what that ritual is. Same ritual for Contamination. It does something different depending on which one you pick. Regarding the rune, not the runes, the talents, I don't recommend Static Charge. I recommend Lend a Hand. And the reason for that is I can cast a spell here and move it around while I still cast more spells. So I can aim and cast at the same time, which is super nifty. Shared Streak, I prefer the Selfish Streak because you deal more damage with that. Runic Speed, it lets your higher level spells go faster, just for when I'm casting Frost 3. Affinity, True Affliction was great before Reborn, but they changed it, and so it's not that great anymore. You're going to want to go with Affinity, and then I prefer Triplicity, just for that huge damage spike. But really, I mean, play how you want to play. You know, I know several great mages with Static Charge. Shared versus Selfish, really, it's up to either one. Runic Diversity is great if you cast 3 different kind of spells. So if you cast Frost, Arcane, and then Fire, your Fire will get a damage buff, which is awesome. But I just prefer to have my higher spells go faster. True Affliction, don't even bother. And then Contamination will just make your dots last longer. So, yeah, last bit of thoughts. Draw small, right? Worry about consistency first. Cast the spells correctly. Get consistent, then do the shortcuts, and then worry about speed. Don't try to go for speed right off the bat. And last but not least, your spells register based on your head gaze. If I'm looking up, I have to draw like this, right? Horizontal. If I try to draw horizontal here, it's not going to work. If I look up and try to draw vertical, it's not going to work, right? It's based on where you're looking, and that's how you're going to have to angle your spell. So that's pretty much all I got for now. If you want any more tips, you know, leave a comment or find some mages in game. I know that you know, Promidota with the Monday nights, Jay and Cam are the best mages in the game. Elk is great at teaching how to cast. He's the one who taught me to cast Frost 3, and I went from not being able to cast it at all to, well, that day I was able to cast it like 8 times in a row. So yeah, just find somebody in the game and ask around, and you'll get some tips. So yeah, this is Mishka with the Monday Nights. You guys take care.